Welcome to the Non-DoD Schools Program Liaison Portal Training. The Non-DoD Schools Program, otherwise known as the NDSP, is managed by the Department of Defense Education Activity. DoDEA provides financial and educational support to authorized dependents enrolled in kindergarten through 12th grade. Students must be dependents of eligible DoD civilian and military sponsors assigned and residing in foreign locations outside the commuting area of a DoDEA school. Module 1 is the access to the NDSP Liaison Portal. The NDSP has deployed a liaison portal providing you with 24/7 access to the sponsors and dependents enrolled in the NDSP at your location. You will always use the URL shown at the top of the screen to access your liaison portal and liaison report. This link is also listed in the email sent to you as a new liaison. If you are a new liaison, please enter your email address and click on the New User link. A temporary password will be sent to you. Once you receive your temporary password, you will then be able to change your password. On the 10th of every month, an automatic email will be generated requesting that you access the NDSP Liaison Portal, review the information, and provide any modifications if necessary. In addition, you will be able to access this portal at any time using the above URL. Module 2, the NDSP Liaison Portal home page. At the top of the page, under the tabs, you will find the liaison's name, country, command, and email address. If this information is not accurate, please email the NDSP administration at headquarters.dodea.edu mailbox. Under the word Home, you will find a blue box at the top of this page only if your location is in a re-registration period. In the blue box, you will find a message to the liaison regarding the current re-registration process. The schools in the NDSP follow two types of calendars, Southern and Northern. The calendar is determined by the school and has nothing to do with their geographical location. Re-registration for Southern calendar schools begins 1 November and ends 31 January. The Southern calendar school year does not cross calendar years and generally runs from January through December of the same year. Re-registration for Northern calendar schools begins 1 February and ends 31 August. The Northern calendar school year crosses calendar years and generally runs from August through June of the next year. Below the blue box is a white box with information regarding the Department of State Standardized Regulations Education Allowance, better known as the DSSR. Each student has a DSSR based on their grade and location. The DSSR Education Allowance is the sponsor's maximum allowance and is used to defray the costs of education. The allowance is not meant to cover every expense. There are allowable and non-allowable fees. Any expense incurred above the DSSR will be the responsibility of the sponsor. When you follow the link to the Department of State website, you must select a country, select the Education Allowance column, and view the allowances by grade, date, at post, and away from post. In the next module, you'll be introduced to the sponsor orientation booklet. You will find more information about at post and away from post allowances on page 11 in the sponsor orientation booklet. For more information on other DSSR rates, go to page 12 in the sponsor orientation booklet. Pre-authorization is needed for these services, such as home study, special education, and supplemental instruction, and must be pre-approved and coordinated with the Region NDSP Education Specialist. On the next link, you will find a list of Department of State, or DOS, Community Liaison Officers, or CLOs. Since the CLOs change regularly, please use the geographic address in the column titled Email Generic when contacting CLOs. When sending an invoice to the NDSP, Please use one of the 3 addresses listed next. The NDSP invoice email addresses for each of the areas are listed for the Americas, covering Northcom and Southcom, Europe, covering EUCOM, CENTCOM, and AFRICOM, and the Pacific, covering PACOM. The last line on this page is a quick link to the NDSP website with information on the submission and payment of invoices. We will discuss the payment invoices page in further detail in a moment. Module 3, NDSP Liaison Portal Orientation, Part 1. The NDSP Orientation Welcome Aboard booklet, dated January 2017, is on the far right top of the screen and is labeled Sponsor Orientation. This booklet is a valuable tool with direct links to the NDSP website. This is a great starting place for easy reference to many topics regarding the program. Let's look at a few key pages regarding expenses and payments in the Sponsor Orientation booklet. On page 2 of the booklet, you will find the table of contents. On page 14, you will find information on expenses. On a yearly basis, the NDSP reviews academic calendars and fee schedules. We send a request for this information along with the list of questions to each school to determine what the tuition fee covers. At the same time, we remind schools to update their banking information if necessary. Let's review some sample documents. The School Fee Schedule. This sample document from a school in Japan lists the school year, the one-time fees, the annual tuition and building fees, and the transportation fees by grade level. Please note that the one-time fees are paid above and beyond the DSSR allowance. On page 14 of the Sponsor Orientation booklet, you will find links to information about at-post and away-from-post allowable and non-allowable fees. It is important to carefully review these lists to determine what is allowable and non-allowable so you can advise the sponsor what fees they are responsible for. The education allowance is designed to assist in defraying the costs for education and transportation. The non-allowable fees will not be funded by the NDSP. These fees, such as the cost for meals, uniforms, overnight field trips, and after-school activities, should be invoiced directly to the sponsor. If non-allowable fees included in the tuition are identified, they will be removed from the NDSP tuition payment, and it will be the sponsor's responsibility to pay these fees to the school. We will see a sample notation on the funding detail sheet when we review Module 7. Each school year, the NDSP sends an email, such as the email sample sent to a Pacific school, to each school requesting a copy of the school academic calendar, fee schedule, request for information, and the payment information form. The Payment Information Form, or PIF, should be completed by the school and submitted to the NDSP anytime there is a change in banking information. If the school is unsure of how to complete the form, they should contact their bank for assistance. The Request for Information fillable form is how we determine what might be included in the tuition fee that is allowable or non-allowable. The 10-question form should be completed by the school and submitted to the NDSP along with their fee schedule. The sample tuition invoice, in Japanese yen, is billing this student for annual tuition, bus service, and the building fee, minus a discount for the annual payment. In answer to the questions regarding their fee schedule, we learned that the tuition fee included non-allowable expenses for insurance, a yearbook, and overnight field trips for grades 4 through 8. These non-allowable fees were deducted from the NDS payment to the school. The academic calendar usually indicates the start and the end of the school year, any holidays, breaks, closures, or special events, and whether the school runs in quarters, terms, semesters, etc., and also how many total days school is in session. Module 3, NDSP Liaison Portal Orientation, Part 2. On page 14 of the Sponsor Orientation booklet, you will find information about transportation at post. 1 round trip per day is allowed from home to school and back. The one-way distance must exceed 1 mile to qualify for payment or reimbursement. Transportation expenses are paid or reimbursed in the following priority order. Transportation provided or arranged by the school or by the U.S. government, such as an embassy-contracted bus. If neither is available, sponsors may use commercial transportation, such as buses, trains, or taxis, or POV mileage may be claimed using the Defense Travel Management Office mileage rates. Transportation away from post or boarding school. The NDSP will fund transportation to and from the duty station to school once at the beginning of the school year and once at the end of the school year, up to the DSSR allowance. The student must be on orders, and travel should be arranged through the sponsor's command or agency. Self-procurement of tickets is not allowed. For more detailed information, click on the link for boarding school transportation. On page 17 of the sponsor orientation booklet, you will find information on payments and reimbursements. The NDSP will not fund or reimburse fees prior to the sponsor's arrival at the OCONUS duty location. The procedures are listed for transportation payments. This section lists the priority order in which the NDSP will reimburse transportation costs. There are links for the SF 1164 for claiming POV mileage and the travel process for boarding school students. School invoice. This section lists the options for paying school invoices. Please provide annual invoices whenever possible. Sponsor reimbursement. This section lists the process and the documents to submit for reimbursement claims. Payments are made in U.S. dollars only. There is a link for the claim form. Home study. This section lists the process and the documents to submit for home study reimbursement claims. The sponsor should itemize and number the receipts to correspond with the items listed on the claim form. There is a link for the home-based education claim form. Service provider. A service provider could be a tutor, an aide, a therapist, or a bus company, to name a few. This section lists the 2 methods of reimbursing a service provider. There are links for the forms. The sponsor is responsible for reviewing the service provider's invoice and/or claim for accuracy and adherence to the education specialist's authorization. Forms. The 4 frequently used forms can also be accessed here and downloadable to a PDF. There is a provider NDSP reimbursement form, a sponsor claim for reimbursement form, a sponsor reimbursement for home-based education form, and the standard form 1164 POV privately owned vehicle form. On page 18 of the sponsor orientation booklet, you will find information on withdrawal procedures. When a sponsor withdraws their child from a school, the sponsor must notify the school the student is attending and request a refund if applicable, the local NDSP liaison, and the NDSP office at DoDEA NDSP headquarters. If the child participates in a group transportation option, ensure the transportation office is notified. Please note all timelines for withdrawals set by the school or transportation company. Failure of the sponsor to give proper notice to the school or transportation company may result in an early withdrawal fee, which is not an authorized expense for reimbursement. The next screen displays a sample tuition and fee refund policy for a school in Singapore, which requires notification of withdrawal in writing and sets notification deadlines for refunds. On page 19 of the sponsor orientation booklet, you will find information on contacts. This page lists phone numbers and email addresses for the various NDSP offices that you may need to contact for assistance. Module 4, the NDSP Liaison Portal Sponsors tab. The Sponsors tab lists the active sponsors in your area, and we're using Singapore as an example. The table at the bottom of the page lists the sponsor's name, the country where the sponsor is stationed, the post location, the sponsor's email address, the sponsor's rank, the sponsor's DeROS, and the sponsor's confirmed PCS if there is one. On the left side of the page, you can choose the number of entries between all or 10 to 100 to display the information, or you can use the search engine on the right side of the page. Just above the sponsor chart on the right side is the ability to download the sponsor information either by exporting to Excel or exporting to a PDF. The PDF or Excel file will not display the DoDEA's color coding. The post location determines the DSSR allowance a child will receive. The email address needs to be up to date so that the NDSP can stay in contact with sponsors, especially during the re-registration process. Please ensure that sponsor email addresses are accurate. The color coding for the DoDEA's is explained in the box above. The date eligible for return from overseas, or DoDEA's, color coding indicates whether the sponsor's DoDEA's is green, current for the full school year; yellow, will expire midway in the next school year; or red, has expired and expenses cannot be funded unless extension orders are provided. Please note that the color coding is only available during the re-registration period. You will notice that our example is using a northern calendar. If the sponsor's DoDEA's date is current, or color code green, the liaison or sponsor should request an annual invoice for tuition, transportation, and fees and submit it to the NDSP. If the sponsor's DoDEA's date is before the end of the school year, or color code yellow, the liaison or sponsor should request a prorated invoice. The sponsor should check the school and transportation company withdrawal and refund policy to meet the school or bus company's requirements and deadlines for refunds. Please advise the sponsor of the NDSP withdrawal procedures as mentioned in Module 3. If the sponsor's DoDEA's date is expired, or color code red, extension orders must be provided to become eligible for NDSP funding. Extension orders can be uploaded in the sponsor portal. If the sponsor's DoDEA's date has no color coding, this indicates that the sponsor's dependent is in a school with a different calendar schedule, and there is no immediate action required for the next school year. In this example, the sponsor whose DoDEA's has no color coding has children attending schools on a southern calendar. In addition to the liaison portal, every sponsor has a sponsor portal where registration in the NDSP can be accomplished. Confirmed PCS date. Please advise the sponsor to immediately notify the same entities as listed for withdrawals as referenced in Module 3 of any permanent change of station to maximize the opportunity for a refund. Notification of the PCS date is necessary for any sponsor going back to the United States, going to another NDSP location, or dependents transferring to a DoDEA school. If a sponsor is going to another NDSP location, they must use the Student Online Registration (SOR) system to register in the NDSP at the new location. If the dependents are transferring to a DoDEA school, please refer to the DoDEA website for information. There are quick links to the DoDEA website on page 4 of the Sponsor Orientation booklet. The Edit Comment section provides a means to communicate with the NDSP. In this section, you can view the sponsor's dependents by clicking on the brown box. This section lists the dependent's name, school, grade, the school year they're registered for, and whether they are an active student. If there is a sponsor missing from your list, please send an email to the NDSP administration mailbox. You can also change the sponsor's information if necessary, and you can enter a change of liaison information. You can enter information in the comments section. Any information that you enter here will be sent to the NDSP database. You can upload files. This is a safe and secure way for liaisons to upload documents such as extended orders, banking information, invoices, etc. Sponsors can also upload documents in the sponsor portal, which will be submitted to the NDSP. Always remember to save your changes. When you use this feature, you should get a message in a mint green box at the top of the page that your email was sent successfully. Module 5, NDSP Liaison Portal Present School Year Students tab. The Students tab provides a list of active students for the current school year. This list includes each student's name, grade level, and we ask that you please check the correctness of each child's grade level, their school, whether the school academic calendar is Northern or Southern, the sponsor's rank and name, and the status. This should show that each child is registered for the current school year. As a liaison, you can click on the Export to PDF button to create a PDF file of the active students enrolled in the NDSP and provide this list to your command if needed. On the left side of the page, you can choose the number of entries between 10 and 100 to display the information and/or use the search engine on the right side of the page. If you have any modifications after reviewing your report, please enter them in the Liaison Portal Sponsor tab in the Edit Comments section and send it to the NDSP. If a sponsor wants to change their child's school at any time, please refer to page 17, Change of School Requirements, in the Sponsor Orientation booklet. Module 6, the NDSP Liaison Portal Next School Year Students tab. The Next School Year Students tab provides a list of students to include new arrivals who have been re-registered for the next school year. This list includes each student's name, grade level, and again, we ask that you please check the correctness of each child's grade level, their school, whether the school academic calendar is Northern or Southern, the sponsor's rank and name, and the status, whether the student is registered or eligible to register for the next school year. All families currently enrolled in the NDSP must re-register for each school year. Sponsors can access the sponsor portal to verify their intention of attendance in an NDSP school and provide the school fee schedule as referenced in Module 3. They can also provide the academic school year calendar and the annual invoice. These documents are necessary before the NDSP can initiate a payment. Tuition payments will not be made if there is an expired DeRos. If a sponsor has a rising kindergarten student, they must use the Student Online Registration, SOAR, on the sponsor portal to register a new student in the NDSP. Please refer to page 6, Kindergarten First Grade Eligibility, in the Sponsor Orientation booklet. Information regarding comparison school system grade equivalents can be found on page 7, and Home Study Private Instruction Virtual Education can be found on page 9 of the Sponsor Orientation booklet. As a liaison, you can click on the Export to PDF button to create a file of the students re-registered for the next school year. You can use this report to determine if there are sponsors who may still need to re-register. On the left side of the page, you can choose the number of entries between all or 10 to 50 to display the information and/or use the search engine on the right side of the page. If you have any modifications after reviewing your report, please enter them in the Liaison Portal Sponsor tab in the Edit Comments section and send it to the NDSP. Module 7, NDSP Funding Detail Sheet, or FDS, Review. When a payment is finalized, an email with the FDS will be sent to the liaison and the sponsor. Please pay attention to the statement at the top of the page, which indicates that funds should reach your bank within the next 30 working days. Also pay attention to the request to retain this record for your records in order to reconcile the payment with the student name indicated on this funding detail sheet. The FDS lists the school year at the very top, the payment to, and this could be the school, the transportation company, the tutor, the aide, or the sponsor. The payment by, this will be the bank information. The date the payment was finalized. The fiscal year of the funding. The NDSP invoice number that is assigned by the NDSP. The payee invoice number, which is assigned by the school or the transportation company or the tutor, etc. The liaison's name, the student's name, the school name, the grade, which is a U.S. equivalent grade, the VAT, or the value added tax, which is an umbrella term for a country tax, and VAT is only applicable if the host country has a tax assessment. The VAT is a DSSR expense. One-time fees. Please reference page 17 of the sponsor orientation booklet for more information. DSSR costs. Generally, tuition and transportation are DSSR expenses. Total paid. The sponsor's name. The funding details of the payment. Any non-allowable fees that are deducted should be listed in this section. Currency of the payment. The total U.S. dollar equivalent of a foreign currency payment is listed under the line of accounting. If you have not received an FDS for a student, please check with the sponsor to find out if an invoice has been submitted to the NDSB. Thank you for attending the Liaison Portal training. You may go back and review individual modules as needed. If you have any questions about this training, please call 571-372-0591 or email the NDSP at ndsp.administration@hq.dodea.edu.